Yep. Good morning, everyone. So, last session we learned about all data types, working with various data types. So, in the summary, we learned about the TypeScript variables, data types. We learned in that we have primitive and non-primitive. Primitive. In primitive, we have number, we have a string, we have boolean, null, and undefined. One more is there, symbol type. This all comes under primitive types. So we have another non-primitive types. Non-primitive types, what we learned about array, object, map. And in additional data types, we learned about how to handle a date. So in the data types, one more new data type is actually symbol type. So generally, for example, I will give you one simple concept. Actually, what is the concept of a symbol and why we need this symbol? Symbol is newly added actually. Okay. So I will show you one simple real-time requirement actual. So this is a page. Right? Yeah. So we are designing a simple form here. We are creating a simple form, a HTML form. Yes, you girls in the beginning. Are you ready? Do I need to wait some more time? Huh? Right. So here in the form, we are designing some elements, right? Here we have, suppose I am creating some data list, data term. We have username and data definition. We have some text. So in this, some value I given as John, that is username. We have some details like age, and we have data definition. Input type is number, and here value is some 22 something. Now actually name is a username. Here the name is age. We will put a button here. So some submit. Submit is the button. I'm showing a general real-time requirement. For example, here we have these details, username and age. I want to submit these details so that these details are updated in existing user information. And actually, this person's user ID is present. That is some John underscore NID. Now, usually how database logic will be generally like update command, update table with some values where so user ID is matching with is equal to some John underscore NID. So update table set all these. I'm just giving an outline query. So user details are updated by using the user ID. Now, when I submit the form, what details are sent? Username and age. Then without sending user ID, how it will update? Point understood? Right. Now, tell me in general HTML, how to submit that user ID without showing that user ID. User ID should not be displayed on screen, but in the background that user ID must be submitted. Here user ID field is not there. How many fields are there in the form currently? 2 fields are there. What are those? Username and age. So when you submit, only these two will submit. So now I want to submit user ID also, then only I can update. But there is no field for that. I don't want to show that field to user, but in the background it should be there. In HTML, to handle this, generally this is regular requirement, because we will not allow to display some details, but we submit those details in the backend. And this is possible actually in HTML. You have to use, in HTML, you have to use, I am using an input type as hidden. There is a input type hidden. This hidden will have a name, user ID, and it will have the value John underscore NID. Now you can never see this on the screen. On the screen, what details are present? Username and age. But observe here, when I submit, it will submit the user ID also. User ID, username, and age. This is a very common requirement in real time. We design form. In that form, you know already, like suppose you have Google account, Gmail. Can you, what details you can change after creating account? You can change your passwords, you can change your email. Email means alternative email. You can change your mobile number. Can you change your ID? Not possible. But that means they will show, sometimes they will not show that ID, but they have to update based on ID. So without showing the details, we must able to submit. That means there must, usually in databases, we call this primary key. Am I right? So primary keys are used for indexing. They are used for updating based on the key. Now, this type of concept is very much important here. Actually, to handle this kind of issue, that means generally we have a problem with object. I will take you to this concept of index.ts. Yeah. Here, let's create an object. Here, I'm creating an object. Yesterday, we learned how to create object. LET product. Product object. It have a name. So name is what? String. And it have price, some number. Okay. Now in this, we need to store the details. That is name, And in the name, we are storing some name. And we have price. In that, we are storing some price. These details are defined. Now, in order to handle this product, if product is having only name and price, then how we can update, delete the products? It must need a primary key. So unique primary key. And that primary key, we don't want to display. That primary key should not be used. Suppose how to read all the properties. How to read all the properties, I am writing a for. For where? What is it? Property. Property in what is it? Object. Product. We are reading all the properties, console.log, and what we have to print a property. That means I am printing every property here. Let's run this and see. I will run this in the command prompt. Let's open. Yep. You can directly run here tsc index.ts. And here we have node index.js. It is going to print name and price. That means what are the properties available? Those properties are displayed. Okay. Now what we want is, we want a field in such a way that it should be there. Its value must be accessible, but it should be hidden. Hidden means whenever anybody is reading all properties, it should not come inside it. This is a very good concept, and it is not there in JavaScript earlier. This is very regularly required in our real world projects, which I showed you in a form design. But this is not there in JavaScript. That's the reason in JavaScript, so ES6, they introduced a concept called symbol. Symbol. Actually, what is the concept about symbol is, it is a primitive data type of JavaScript introduced with the ES6 version. ES6 is JavaScript version. Already I told you JavaScript latest version is 22. ES6 is 2016. ES6, or people also call ECMA script 2016. That is version. From ES6, they introduced this symbol. Actually, it is used to configure. It is used to configure a unique reference for object. It is used to configure a unique reference for object. A unique reference can be configured for object by using symbol. Actually, so it is hidden. It is hidden in iterations. It is hidden in iterations. So it is hidden in iterations, but accessible individually. It is hidden in iterations, but accessible individually. So it is hidden in iterations. It will not come, but it is available. You can use it. So this is a symbol type, how we can configure symbol and use it. So generally, to define symbol, actually, suppose you see, I am using here, I am creating at the top, I am creating a constant In the constant, I defined product ID. Product ID is equal to, it's a symbol. Product ID is a symbol. Product ID is a symbol. And this product ID, in the object, we are configuring that product ID. That means we are defining the product ID, and into that we are passing some value. We are passing that value. But that product ID is not available. So the product ID is not available because here there is no mention about product ID. Suppose this is product ID. Product ID is what type? It is what type? Number. It is number type. So product ID is defined as number type, but you can see it is not there. That means it is saying that, so it is not assignable. It is not assignable. That means it is not available. Actually, the product ID is not assignable here. Later we will assign that. Usually what happens is we need to design a form interface and create that. We will learn. So I'm just explaining the scenario, right? What is the point here? This is a field. What is the purpose of this field? This field is hidden, and that hidden field will not allow to use it in iterations, but it will be available independently. It is available independently. So here I am defining the product ID. You can see just I am defining product ID. Product ID is individually configured and we are accessing it, but this will be treated as a number. Understood? This will be treated as a number and it's an ordinary type. It is not using this one. Now this product ID must be used in our object. If I have to use that product ID in object, you have to learn one more concept, contracts and all, that I will show you now. So in OOP concept, we have to discuss. Then we can implement. So what is actually, this is directly available in JavaScript. It is directly available in JavaScript. In TypeScript, we need additional concept to implement this generic, and you need to understand about a concept called generics. Already I told you yesterday, map also requires a concept called generic. After learning that, you can implement. Actually, what happens? So we have LET. So what is it? LET is defined with what? LET. So this is product ID. Product ID is what type? Symbol. It is a symbol type. Now what we do? We create an product. Product is an object. In that, what we do? Product ID, we will assign some value. We have some name. The name is TV. Another one, we have a price. The price is some price defined. Now we are reading. So here for is what? Where property. Property in what? Product. We are printing the details. Document dot write what? Property. Property. It is going to access and display the property. This is a simple option. You see, ID is not there. Only which one is accessible? Name and price. But product ID is also a member. It is also a member. For example, outside I'm accessing document.write. So we have product dot I'm accessing product ID. Product of, actually we use product ID. Product of product ID. Actually, individually I am accessing the product ID, it will get it. That means the value is coming. The value is working fine. Right? That means, is product ID available in product? Product ID is available in product, but it is not shown in iterations. It is individually accessible. You can individually access, but it is not shown in the iteration. That means you will not find that there is product ID, but it will be there. It will be working. It will be submitting the data. This to implement in TypeScript, you need some more additional concept because TypeScript will not allow directly like this. In TypeScript, we need to use some OOP concepts and implement them. So JavaScript and TypeScript can use a new data type called what? Symbol type. What is the purpose of symbol type? So to create unique hidden fields so that they are hidden in the iterations, but they are available in general uses, right? This is a new data type. So syntactically, how we define? Syntactically, LET, some product ID. So product ID, and it is equal to symbol. And how do we implement this? So LET product is an object. In that product object, we have in the square brace product ID is some value, some name and price. That is how we define. This is how to access all the properties for where property in product. We are printing every property. You can use console.log. You can print every property. Individually, if you want to access console.log, so product ID, you can access like this. Product of product ID. That is how you can define. So this is not available in earlier versions of JavaScript. So this is there from ES6 version and can implement anywhere. So when you are defining the data types, configuring the types, this is important. Why it is a primitive type? Because its structure cannot be changed once initialized. Once you initialize the structure, it cannot be changed. It will have a fixed because it is immutable. Unique fields cannot be changed. I told you, suppose like user ID. Once you initialize, you cannot change. So it should be unique. That is the reason it is kept under the category of immutable types. Immutable types and primitive types are immutable types, right? This is the basic of how we can work with data types. Is it clear? Everyone understood? So what is the purpose of symbol type? So to configure unique fields in an object. To configure unique fields in an object. Why you need a unique field in object? Why you need a unique field in object? We need unique fields to handle index-based operations. Operations like editing, updating, deleting, all these require unique field. So, and what is the ability of symbol? Symbol is not just displaying unique field, it is also hiding the field. So that they are available, but they are not displayed in iterations. They are not displayed in the iterations, right? This is all you need to understand about this. So actually in TypeScript, when you are dealing with this, when we are dealing with this, suppose I mentioned product ID like this. it will show invalid because the data type problem is there. If I mention the data type as any type, now it is okay. When you mention the data type as any type, it is okay. So, but any type is going to handle all types, right? For example, now see here, I am accessing now. So I am compiling that and I am running this. So you can see it says symbol have a problem, and see that it is clearly saying that it is available only in the library from which version? ES 215 and later, higher. It is just a warning actually. For example, you see now, I'm just giving here. So TSC. So this is node. Node what? Index.js. It is working. It is working. So I will keep here LET or something values. Now I am trying to access console.log. Console.log, what is it? Product of product ID. We are accessing product of product ID. Actually, this is product ID is equal to which product ID we are looking for. I am transcompiling here, means first compiling, then it says be careful about this symbol. It is not there in older version. It is showing you an warning. And I'm compiling that node, what is it? Index.js, and you can see it is working fine. In spite of that error is not code error. That error is just to show you a warning that this is not available in old versions. You can still forcibly run this program, then it will simply show you the result. Actually, you remembered our TS configuration file is there. Am I right? In C here, target is 216. That is the reason it is working. It is working. But it is showing warning just to tell the users who are using older version that it is available only from this. Right? Why it is working in spite of error? Because our target is 216 only. If our target is 216, it will work. If it is 215 or other version, it will never work. So this is important. So instead of any type, what is used in reality, I will tell you. For that, we need to learn OOP concepts, right? So you can initially try this in TypeScript also, but just you have to mention the data type as any. I will give this example in the notes. Same example, what I given, only the point data type you have to mention as any type, right? This is all important about data types. This is all about the data types. We have primitive types and non-primitive. Next important actually to work with the language, you need to understand TypeScript operators. There is no change, same as JavaScript operators. So I'm not going to discuss anything because you will learn in JavaScript. I hope you already know what are the various types of operators we are having. Actually, operators are categorized into different groups in JavaScript. You have unary operators. So you have binary operator, you have a ternary operator, am I right? Right. So unary operators, so you have plus plus, minus minus. Binary operator, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, am I right? All these. Ternary operator, question mark, colon, that is ternary operator, right? And you know operators are further classified into arithmetic operators. We have logical operators, we have assignment operators, so we have conditional operators, comparison, comparison operators, we have bitwise operators, and we have special operators. special operators. These are all operators of JavaScript. In JavaScript, you will learn all of them. I am not repeating that here. So whatever JavaScript operators are there, the same are available in TypeScript. There is no change. And I hope you people know some new operators already in JavaScript you might have learned. So what is new is new operators you need to know. New operator is actually from ES5. From ES5 we have double asterisk. That is a new operator from ES5. Actually double asterisk is exponent. Suppose we say 2 double asterisk 3. That means 2 to the power of 3. It is 8. This is from ES5. Older version we used to write like this: math.pow 2, 3. That means it is also equal to 8. This is ES4 up to ES4, right? That is a new operator in JavaScript. So JavaScript ES5 onwards, you have a new operator called exponent operator. And of course, you people know, so what is the difference between double equal and triple equal? Am I right? You learned it, right? What is difference? What is difference between double equal and triple equal? So actually double equal can compare values of different types. Can compare values of different types. So triple equal is it can compare values only of same type. For example, generally in JavaScript, suppose 10 is equal to 10. One is string 10, another one is number 10. What is the result? True or false? It is true. In JavaScript, it is true, because it internally converts that string 10 into a number and compares. That is reason it is true. But because double equal can compare different types, so triple equal can compare only same type. This will be false. If it is string, am I right? That will be false. These are general things you already know in JavaScript. So JavaScript operators the same in TypeScript, no change. Another important TypeScript statements. TypeScript statements same as JavaScript. No need to explain these statements also. Actually, what are the statements? We have selection statements. Selection statements, what are the keywords? If, else, switch, case, default, these all comes under which one? Selection. You know all of them, right? Right. In JavaScript, you learned how to handle these all selection statements: if statements, else, switch, case, and default. These are selection statements. We have looping control statements. Looping control statements also, you know what is it? For while and do while. These are looping control statements, no change. Iteration statements, you know already. Iteration statements, we have for in and we have for off. Here for each is a method, not a statement in JavaScript. So we have iteration statements and we have jump statements also, you know. What are jump statements? Break, continue, and here we have in JavaScript we have return. Here we don't have any go to, right? Here we have break, continue, and return. These are jump. And we have exception handling statements. What are exception handling statements of JavaScript? Try, catch, throw, and final. These are exception handling statements. These are all the statements of JavaScript, and TypeScript also same, no change. So we don't discuss about these in TypeScript again because already you know them all. You have to know them all, right? So you have to know them all and come to learn Angular, right? These are all JavaScript statements. So there is nothing much to discuss about operators and statements because they are same as JavaScript. So these are all language basics. So let me give the summary of language basics. Language basics. What is that? Variables, data types, operators, statements. These are all the language basics. These are all general language basics. And of course, in JavaScript, you have learned about functions. In JavaScript, you learned about functions. Those concepts also same here. All JavaScript function concepts are same. There is no change. Everything similar. So variables, data types, operators, and functions. Functions concept is everything same. I will just give a simple overview. So I will simple give a overview. I will not go detail because you learned them in JavaScript. Let's see a simple point here. TypeScript functions. TypeScript functions. Actually, what is the purpose of a function? You can function, actually, technically speaking, a function is used in refactoring the code. A function is used in refactoring the code. That is the purpose of a function. Functions are used in refactoring the code. Actually, refactoring is a mechanism of encapsulating a set of statements and extracting into a function or file. That is called as refactoring. So refactoring is the mechanism of encapsulating a set of statements and extracting to a function. That is what actually. So if anyone asks what is purpose of a function, technical answer is refactoring. That means generally you should know that when you answer the questions in interviews, according to your answer, they can calculate your skill level. That means what word you given as answer, based on that, they can understand how much depth you have in the knowledge of concept. So because at learning level, different answers will be there. At experience level, answers will be different. Concept is same, but experience level answers means you have to tell technical words. You should not generalize any topic. That means you should not tell the answer in interview for any question in a generalized manner. You have to tell only technical terms. General terms are okay while you are learning. They are not okay in interview. Right? You have to use technical terms only. You have to tell technical terms. So I will tell you this point. Functions are used for refactoring means, see, suppose I am writing here for where I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to 10, I plus plus. And console.log I. This is a program. This is a set of statement written for printing numbers from 1 to 10. I want this again and again. If I want this again and again, see what I am doing. I will select these lines. After selecting the lines, right click on the selected lines. When I right click on selected lines, you will find there is an option refactor. There is an option called refactor when I select it. So there is an option called refactor. I will select that refactor. When I right click and select refactor, it will give extract to a function or move to a file. I am using extract to a function. Refactor, extract to a function. What is the function name? Print numbers and enter. Now a function is created. A function is created and a function is called. So what is the main motive of a function? What is the main purpose of a function? To refactor the code. What is meant by refactoring in computer programming? Refactoring means encapsulating all the lines, keeping them in a function so that we can access and use any number of times from any location. That is the concept. So when you refactor the code, you can reuse the code. So general answer is function is used for reusing the code. Technical answer is function is used for refactoring the code. Right? Now you say function is used for reusing the code. You are a fresher. You say it is used for refactoring. You are experienced person. Even interviewers sometimes don't know. So some interviewers will ask, what is this refactor? I never heard. That means you are more better than him. More better than the person who is interviewing you. Because every time interviewer is not genius. He knows only what he is working on. He don't know everything. Right? Sometimes you know better than them. You have better knowledge than them. Some concepts you know very latest which they don't know. Because they are working on several old versions from several years. They are experienced, but experienced in old concepts. They are not experienced in new. Right? That means you need to use these technical terms. So function purpose is what? Refactoring. Refactoring. So syntactically here we define a function like this. Function and the name and parameters, and we have to define this functionality, whatever the statements are there. And actually, I hope you people know the configuration. Configuration is we have a function and its name and the parameters. Up to this, it is called as function declaration. It is called function declaration. You have name and parameters without the word function. Understood? That is called signature. Function signature. And after the function name and parameters, there is a block. This is called definition. So every function have three phases: function declaration, function signature, and function definition. Function have three phases: the declaration, the signature, and the definition. Sometimes we have to write functions without definition. Sometimes we have to just use the signature. And sometimes we need the declaration. Now, how to access a function? We have to access a function by using its signature. Understood? Functions are accessed by using the signature. In how it is defined, we access that. So actually, this is the point. So function we have. So function we are writing. Suppose we have a function and the function name and the parameters. And we have this. So this part is called as declaration. And this part is called as a signature. Part is called definition. So function have these three phases, right? So function usually have these all options. And I hope in JavaScript you learned. So what are the concepts you learned about function is function parameters. We have function return type return. So we have anonymous function. We have function recursion. We have function closure. Function closures. So we have arrow function. These are all function related concepts you have to know while working with JavaScript. So functions related, these all topics you need to know. So these are same in JavaScript, TypeScript, everywhere. Function parameters, function return types, anonymous functions, recursions, function closures, and arrow function. These are regularly learned in JavaScript and we use here in TypeScript also in the same way. No change. Here no change. But here one change is there. What is the change is means about data type. Data type is the change that is strongly typed. So what we have to note here is TypeScript functions. Functions are same as JavaScript, but they are configured with data type for both function and parameters. Understood? Means every concept about function is same as JavaScript. Only the extra thing you need to know is data type. So when you write functions in JavaScript, you don't need data type. When you write functions in TypeScript, you need data type. So the difference I will show you here. I already uploaded one example related to arrays into the classroom. Similarly, I will upload one more document about functions you go through. Because I hope you learn already in JavaScript. If anybody don't know detailedly about all these in JavaScript, I will upload a document, go through it. You have to learn them, right? So here I will show you what is difference in TypeScript. In difference in TypeScript is this. See, how do we define function in a TypeScript? Actually, we have function and function name. Function name I will define here as suppose hello. And this hello function will take a username. Username is a parameter and its data type you have to mention string. And this function have to return some result. That means what we will do. So we will write here return. I will print some message hello and we have to put a dynamic expression. What is it? Username. And what is the value it is returning? It is returning a string type. That means if it is returning string, the function return type is string. That is how we do. This is only the difference. In JavaScript, you don't have types. So here, additionally, you have to mention type. And if a function is written, function is welcome, and it is not having any parameters. It may have parameters and it is not returning anything. Console.log. So welcome to TypeScript. Now, in this case, what should be the type of the function? It is not returning any value. Then what is the type? It should be void. Am I right? So that is void type. Void indicates that it will not return any. So this is void type. So functions we are calling here hello. In that we entered some name, and another function is welcome. But this hello is returning a string. We need to print that string. Then we have to use console.log and we have to call hello. Into that we have to pass John username. Now this is how it is going to work. So TSC index and node JS. This is it is going to work. So how it is going to return the result. So all concepts are same. Only one important is about the data type. So while declaring, the syntax will be like this. You have to create a function name and parameter type. After that, colon, the function type, and we need to define the function definition. So function will have a return type. So function will have a parameter type, and function will have definition. So only data type is additionally extra here, right? Now, some more points are there which are different in TypeScript. Those I will explain here. Actually, see, example I will give this one. This example I will post here. This is the example for that. I will give you this in the note. Now, this is the TypeScript functions style. TypeScript function will be name with parameter and all. Now, what is new is here. Here, one simple note: if function is not returning any type, any value, then it is configured as what? Void. It is configured as void. That means we have a function, some welcome, and it is void. That is void. If it is returning anything, function, suppose addition is having A as number and B as number, and the complete return type also what? Number. Then it can do return A plus B like this. So in JavaScript, there is no data types, and here we have to define data type. So what is new? One more concept is actually you can define optional parameters. You can define optional parameters in TypeScript function, which is not possible in JavaScript. In JavaScript, there is no optional parameter. Every parameter is mandatory. In TypeScript, you have one extra facility. You can make any parameter as optional. You know how to do that. How to define an optional parameter? Question mark. Function. Suppose we have details. Details is expecting some name. Name is string type, comma, price. Price is question mark, what type, number. What does this means? Price is optional. Optional. Price is optional. So JavaScript don't have optional parameters. In JavaScript, every parameter is mandatory. But in TypeScript, the parameter can be optional. Optional. But here one rule is there. The rule is you cannot define a required parameter after optional parameter. That is the rule. You cannot define a required parameter after optional parameter. So that means optional parameters must be last parameters. Must be last parameters. You cannot have an optional parameter presiding with a required parameter. That means suppose we have function details. In that we have name, string type, price is a number type, and the stock is boolean type. This is invalid. This is not valid. This is not valid. Not valid. Why it is not valid? Because price is what parameter? Optional parameter. After optional parameter, stock is a required parameter. It is not possible. If stock is also a optional parameter, that is okay. Otherwise, it is not possible. So all optional parameters must be at the end, the last. So that is one new rule you will learn, because in JavaScript, there is no restriction for this. And in JavaScript, every parameter is mandatory. In TypeScript, parameter can be optional, but it must be last. It must be last. You see here, I am writing this now. Suppose I am creating this function details. Details is expecting some name is a string type and price is a number type, and its type is void. Okay, now I am using price as optional. That is okay. After that, optional, then I am defining stock as a boolean type. Boolean type. It is not allowed. You can see the error. It says that stock is declared, but value never read. It's okay. A required parameter cannot follow an optional parameter. That is error. That means you cannot have a required parameter after the optional parameter. Optional parameters must be end at the last. So you can have optional parameters, but optional parameters must be at the end. So this is not right. You can keep this and put here. Okay, na? That is okay. But you cannot keep at the end. So because all optional parameter must be end. Now here one important doubt will come. So doubt is, if user is not passing that price, how to handle it? If user is not passing the price, then we have to handle it by using, last session we learned undefined type. We don't know defined or undefined. You have to use defined or undefined. That means what we do, we write a logic here. If price, that means if price is defined, then we will print console.log. We will print both details. Name is equal to what? Name. And in the next line, we will print price is equal to what? Price. If price is not defined, how you know that it will not be defined? Because it is marked as optional. If it is not defined, then console.log, it should print only name. It should print only name. It should not print price. That means now see here, in one situation, I am accessing details. In the details, I am passing only name. That means I passed only name. Then it will not print price. It will print only name. You can see I am compiling and this, and it is not going to print the price. When price will be printed? When I pass some price. Price is a number. I am passing some price. Then it can able to print that price. Compile and run this. Then it is going to print both name and price. Name and price. So if you design optional parameters, it is your responsibility to design logic also for that. That means you mentioned optional parameters, then you have to tell if they don't pass, how to handle. You have to write. It cannot handle, because actually in other programming languages like Java, .NET, C++ and all, they support overloading of methods. Am I right? If you given two definitions for a function, which definition you mentioned that it will use. But here it is not like that. You have to handle all situations manually. You have to write if price not passed, what to do. If passed, what to do. That is very important. When you are dealing with optional parameters, this logic is important. This is generally how we use the functions. So all other concepts about function is same. Only the difference is about data types. About data types. I hope everyone is clear, right? How to create a function, how to mention the data type. If it is returning a value, value type. If not returning a value, void type, void type. And function additionally in TypeScript can have optional parameters. And how do we handle those optional parameters, right? This. Next important, now after you understood all these language basics, now we will go into another concept, that is TypeScript object oriented programming. We will go into the concept of TypeScript object oriented programming. Is JavaScript object oriented programming? No. JavaScript is not object oriented programming. It supports only some features. Some features. But TypeScript is a complete OOP language. Here, detailedly we have to learn, because these OOP concepts we have to use in our Angular regularly. Along with language basics, OOP concepts are important. So first thing, I hope everybody knows. So what is object oriented programming's main purpose? Object oriented programming main purpose is code reusability, code separation. Code reusability and code separation, right? Actually, I will give a simple point here. So real world application development. Real world application development uses three types of programming systems. Programming systems. We have POPS, which is process oriented programming system. We have OBPS, object based programming system. Object based programming system. And we have OOP, object oriented programming system. Oriented programming system. Generally in real-time programming, real-time software development, there are three major programming systems used regularly. Remember, programming systems are different, programming approaches are different. These are programming systems. Actually, real world application development uses various programming approaches also. Programming systems different, programming approaches different. Programming approaches, like we have functional programming, we have like structural programming, we have like imperative programming, we have procedure oriented programming, procedure oriented programming. These are all different programming approaches. Programming systems are different, programming approaches are different. Actually, your languages that you learn like Java, .NET and all, some of those languages support functional programming, structural programming, imperative programming also. If you don't know what they are, later in OOP concept, I will explain these points, right? But some programming languages support all these. Actually, JavaScript supports all these. JavaScript supports different types of programming. Programming approaches are different, programming systems are different. So functional, structural, imperative, procedure oriented, these are all programming approach. And OBPS, POPS, OOPS, these are programming systems. Actually, every programming system have a different advantages and drawbacks. Every programming approach is used in different domains. For example, we are developing a project for a bank. Bank is a finance domain. Then we have to use a different approach. We are developing an application for a supermarket. Then it is a different approach. We are developing application for an online shopping. Online shopping comes under which domain? ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, ERP. In that case, we have to use different approach. Software developers have to know different types of approaches according to the domains, right? You are developing a project for finance domain, different approach. So you are developing for ERP, different approach. Data mining, different approach. IoT, different approach, right? Depending on type of application. Approaches are, if you don't follow those approaches, your application will fail. If you don't follow these approaches, your application will fail. Lot of bugs will come. So you cannot successfully develop an application. So programming systems, programming approaches. Actually, what is difference? What is the advantage of OOP? Actually, POPS means process oriented programming system, means it supports low level features. It supports low level features. It can directly interact with hardware. It can directly interact with hardware. It is faster. It uses less memory. These are the major advantages of process oriented programming system. Example for this: C, Pascal, COBOL, all these. These comes under the category of POPS. These are process oriented programming system. For example, we have a air condition, we have a refrigerator, we have a washing machine. There will not be a Java program inside it. We don't have Java .NET programs in air conditions, refrigerator, washing machines, but they also need a software. And that software is controlled with a remote or a button. And you press a button, that software should directly control a fan speed. Fan speed. You push a button, it should directly control the compressor, increase, decrease the temperature. This is not possible with your Java .NET. They don't do. They are not eligible also for doing that. That is the reason I hope you know you have embedded systems, right? Right. That is all done by using what? C Pascal at a very high level also. For example, you know, even in space research, they use Pascal, Visual Pascal. NASA controls its satellites and controls its rovers on Mars by using Pascal. NASA uses Visual Pascal. They don't use Java or .NET, right? Use Visual Pascal because they have to control a device. So from Earth on space. I hope you people know NASA have a rover on Mars, Curiosity and all, right? And do you know from Earth they have to give the command to rover. And if they give a command turn right, this command, it will take 8 days to reach to Mars. 8 days to reach to Mars. After 8 days, after reaching to Mars, there the robot receives and processes the command. It will take 4 days. Total in 14 days or 15 days, it will turn right. Then a Java program cannot reach. Java program means it will reach after 5 years. That means from here they say turn right, after 5 years it will turn right. And it is impossible even to reach there sometimes. That means a lightweight program should run there. So that means actually Mars days are calculated on Sol, S-O-L. I hope you people know. One Sol equal to almost 48 hours. That means the point is, these are not very less caliber programming languages. These are very high caliber programming languages. Only the point is they are not suitable for every situation. And your languages are not suitable for every situation. So process-oriented programming languages, they support low level, they can directly interact with hardware, they are faster, they uses less memory. What are the drawbacks? Drawbacks is nothing but code reusability. Code reusability issues, code separation issues, code reusability issues, code separation issues will be there. Dynamic memory issues will come. Dynamic memory allocation issues will come. Code security issues will come. Code security issues will come. These are all the problems of process-oriented programming. Not only that, extensibility issues will come. Extensibility issues are major. For example, have you ever seen that an air conditioned software updates every few days? Have you ever seen washing machine software updates every few days? Once it is designed, finish. You can't update. You can't do any updates. You can't add new features. No extensibility. Once it is designed, it is finished. Right? That is the reason. I hope you, this is the concept. I hope you know, NASA have sent several rovers on Mars. And they lost communication with almost 2-3 rovers already. Only currently 2 rovers are active on Mars. And what is the reason? NASA says that why it lost communication with their existing rovers. It says that those rovers are no longer taking our commands because their memory is full. What NASA is saying, that memory is full. After all, your computer is having 1 TB, 2 TB, 3 TB. NASA people can send millions of TB. Na? They can't send because they have to complete rover weight itself will be hard disk size. Right? They have to send a small chip. Once it is full, it cannot be extended. Finish. That means you know already, right? Whenever a satellite is launched, they will say that its lifespan is 5 years. We said now India launched Mars satellite now, right? We failed the rover, but satellite is still revolving over Mars. The time we set was 2 years maximum. That means 2 years. After 2 years, it will lost communication. Why? Because it can't take more commands. Memory is full. Right after that, it is lost, gone. That means extensibility not possible. These are the drawbacks, right? So we have another programming system. What is the programming system? OBPS, object-based programming. It supports code reusability. Code reusability. It supports code reusability. It supports code separation. Code separation. It supports dynamic memory. Dynamic memory. It supports extensibility. It support limited extensibility. Extensibility. There are some issues in extensibility. It supports limited extensibility. These are all the advantages. Example is actually JavaScript comes under this category. And language like Visual Basic comes under this category. OBPS, these are object-based programming systems. They look like OOP, but they are not OOP. They have only some features of OOP. That means code reusability will be there, separation will be there, dynamic memory allocation will be there, but certain features are missing. That means what are the issues? Issues nothing but will not support dynamic polymorphism. Polymorphism. You know what is dynamic polymorphism? No problem. We will learn here, right? What is dynamic polymorphism? It will not support dynamic polymorphism. So it will not support actually. So there is no code level security. Code level security. So no dynamic polymorphism, no code level securities. These are all the major issues with OBPS, object-based programming system. Now that is the concept OOP. What is the features of OOP? So it supports code reusability. It supports code separation. It supports code extensibility. It supports dynamic polymorphism. So it supports code level security. All these are supported. Now, example, you have C++, you have Java, you have C#. These all comes under OOP. Then what are the drawbacks of OOPs? So the major drawback of object-oriented programming is they cannot interact with hardware directly. That means they don't support low level features. They need more memory. They are heavy on applications. They are slow. These are all drawbacks of OOP language. You cannot say OOP is the best language because it have its own drawbacks. OOP languages cannot directly interact with hardware. They will not support low-level features. They are very tedious, heavy, slow in responding. For example, best example is you know Android phone, right? Any another operating system phone? iOS. Any another operating system? Only Android and iOS, you know. Any another operating system? Do you know which operating system non-smartphones use? Suppose it is not a smartphone. So they use an operating system called Symbian. You know? Heard about that? No? Symbian. Symbian is the operating system used by the phones which are not smart. That means no touch screen, nothing. You have general character based phones. Na? They use Symbian operating system. Actually, you take two phones, 1,000 rupees Symbian phone, 20,000 rupees your Android phone. You turn on these two phones, then Symbian phone will get ready first. Symbian phone will never hang up. Am I right? Symbian phone will be responding fast, but your Android phone still loading. Your Android phone will hang up certain times. It will not immediately respond to your interactions. That means if you want facilities, you have to compromise with speed. You have to compromise with performance. You have to compromise with the heaviness of the application, TDS we call. That means the point is actually, I hope you know, currently you are using operating system like Windows, you know. Windows operating system, approximately it is 10 GB. But do you know, several years back when we used computers, we used to operate entire computer using a floppy disk, you know. Floppy disk. Do you know the capacity of floppy disk? 1.44 MB. That is the maximum capacity of a floppy disk. In that, we have an operating system, we have softwares, we have our own personal files. Understood? That means now 1 MB, nothing, one photo also will not come. Right? We used to maintain an operating system in that floppy, a softwares in that floppy, along with our files. 1 MB. That means these are lightweight, these are faster. Now we want more graphics. I want colors, I want background my photo. In that case, you have to compromise with space, speed, right? That means object oriented programming is not great every time. It have its own drawbacks. So that is the reason, depending on situation, we implement different. What are the main drawbacks of OOPS? If anybody asks, what are the drawbacks of OOPS? The main drawbacks, it will not support low level features. So it cannot directly interact with hardware. It uses more memory and it is heavy. It is slow interactions. These are all drawbacks. So TypeScript, one of the greatest feature about TypeScript, I told you in the introduction itself. TypeScript is built in TypeScript. You remembered? So TypeScript can directly interact with hardware. TypeScript uses less memory. TypeScript is faster. That means it is more better than traditional OOP languages. Traditional OOP languages. As I told you already in introduction of TypeScript, TypeScript is not just for JavaScript, for Angular. TypeScript is individually used by developers to build large scale applications. Large scale applications, right? So these are the major advantages of OOP and drawbacks. Now, if anybody asks, okay, if these are the features of OOPs, these are the features of OOPs, what is inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation? I am calling these as features of OOPs. Am I right? These are features of OOPs. Then what is polymorphism, inheritance, encapsulation, abstraction? These are characteristics of OOPs. These are characteristics of OOPs. Generally, you people sometimes confuse it between these two. If we ask what are the features, you will tell encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism. Those are not features. Those are characteristics. Features are these. That means these features because of those characteristics. These features because of those characteristics. So what are the characteristics? So I can call these as OOP features. Then what are OOP characteristics? OOP characteristics. OOP characteristics, inheritance. Right? We have like aggregation. We have like polymorphism. So am I right? Polymorphism. And we have like encapsulation. And we have abstraction. This all comes under that. And remember, these characters will lead to those features. For example, how we can achieve reusability and separation? By using inheritance and aggregation. By using inheritance and aggregation, we can achieve reusability and separation. How we can handle extensibility? By using inheritance. Inheritance is for reusability as well as extensibility. How we can handle security? By using abstraction. So these characters lead to those features. These all you are going to learn in TypeScript. In TypeScript, we have to learn all this because TypeScript is not like JavaScript in OOP concept. It is very huge. And this is completely different. So we have to learn every point about OOP. So we will see one by one how to handle them. That we'll see tomorrow. Right? In tomorrow, we will start working with the OOP concepts, object-oriented programming, right? It will take mostly 3-4 days time. With that, we will finish TypeScript, then we will start Angular, okay? It will take 4 days more time to finish all the concept. Then we can start with Angular, okay? Right.